Alright, so welcome back, and now we're going to wire up the pedal board that we were talking about on the Sunday Talks with the Marshmallow Man. We've got all the accoutrements for our theory of the wet, dry rig. So I'm going to start actually wiring this thing, and of course using what else but Three Monkeys, right? The Three Monkeys cable system for DC and AC, so you can check us out at the link below. But here we go. So I like to use, like we were talking about in the last video, I like to use screws to fasten my units down on my board. I just prefer it. So I'm gonna just start with my drill and drilling for right about there. Right about there. Drilling for my screws. Got my little vacuum. Oops. Drop that on the floor. Got my little vacuum. Of course it has to be plugged in. I just like how secure it is with the screws holding everything down. So I attach these little L brackets to my True Tone. What is going on with this drill? There we go. These little L brackets to my True Tone. I'm going to use these lathe screws here to cut them down, or rather to fasten this unit down. There we go. Now I'm going to go through and do each of the pedals. I'm going to drill first, and then I'm going to secure them down with these small number 4 sheet metal screws. There we go. A little dust removal. Grab one of my sheet metal screws. I got a candle over here. Just put a little wax on the thread of the sheet metal screw just to help it kind of work its way in. Just a little Phillips head machine screw. We're just gonna put it through. It just helps smooth everything out. So that's sort of like the first phase of the pedal board build, is to get everything fastened where you want it. So I like to go with the outside ones first. So I'm gonna get this one in place. Screw, a little bit of wax. So yes, we were talking, I think last time on the Sunday Talks, about the possibilities of the pedal board and how it might lead us to believe how Ed's rig was run. And it's, I still think we're not going to know how it was done necessarily, but we can always get clues. And a lot of the photographs that we go off of are from different time and places. So it's difficult to say whether that was what was actually happening when they were recording versus when they were in a big club versus when they were in a small club versus when they were recording the first album versus when they were recording the second album. I mean, all these things, we're still having speculation. So a lot of this you gotta kind of use your ears. So for me, a lot of the problems of figuring out how he was able to do what he was doing was related to that his effects work differently than mine do. And they were a little bit more subtle all the time. So that really just led me to believe that he was onto the whole wet-dry thing earlier than I thought. It's a possibility. I'm not saying it is the way, just saying it's a possibility. So I'm going to try it. And I'm going to put candle wax all over my board. I'm sure worse things were on Ed's board. There's probably some barf on his too. Like on that Dweezil episode of, I don't know what it was, but he had the Rasta guitar that he was showing off that Ed had given him, Dweezil Zappa, and there were like chunks of barf on it. He was saying. I mean, it could be anything, right? It could be anything. Who knows? Some gross stuff. What was it? What is this stuff? I mean, there's all kinds of gross stuff that happens. There was so with Aerosmith, Brad's cabinet, his 412 cabinets, used to have loogies all over them because Steven would spit on them. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't ask any questions. I only melt the solder. So put more of these things in there. So who knows? Was it Ed's barf? As they say, it's very difficult to dust for vomit. So it may not have been Ed's barf. It could have been anybody's barf. I don't know if this stuff needs wax. It's such cheap material. This is some shelf material that I got at like the Home Depot or the Lowe's, which was pre-covered in some rubberized, painted, edged garbage. And I just cut it on a table saw down to size and put a little corners on them for whatever reason. Make them look more like less like junk, but this is an Ed board, so it's supposed to look junky. So I'm putting these together. Getting closer. That looks pretty good there. I have all my supplies pretty much ready to go. So this is really the most tedious part of the whole operation, I think, is getting everything where you want it and getting things fastened, drilling the holes, all this kind of stuff. Can be a little bit of a pain. Some people prefer the Velcro. Never really worked well for me for some reason. I'm like Velcro disabled or something. I just don't like it. Never really worked for me. It always got stuck all over. It stuck everywhere to everything but what I wanted it to get stuck to. Right, so getting back to theories. So I think it was Genghis Khan was talking about the two echoplexes and how they had the two Boss EQs in front of them. And I'm like, okay, that would lead me to, well, then again, we don't know when he got those Boss EQs. Were they for the tour or were they in the studio? I don't know. We have to find that out. But an interesting thing would be each one of those was hooked up to an echoplex. Right? So you had two GE10 EQs and two echoplexes. Now that leads me to believe, I think that looks good. Like, what do you think? Well, I want to line these up better. These go right to each other. That leads me to believe that maybe there was even a wet dry rig by that time. That he had a center line that was your main signal, your dry signal for the power and the presence and the attack and the dynamics. And then he had left and rights that were echoed. Like, so you had like a, maybe a 200 millisecond and a 400 millisecond, and then a straight dry. So it was like, bam, 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 bam. Kind of would give a really cool effect. That's something that a lot of people like, is using multiple echoes to create a sort of a near reverb like sound. I don't know whether, see, that's another thing. It's like if you're playing a big place like they were, I don't know whether you want to have a whole lot of that going on in your signal, even though I know they do it, considering how much space there is in the arena and how much natural echo there is in arenas. It seems to me that you could shoot a screw across the room, have it bounce off your face, and land right back where you need it. It seems to me that the echo would be too much, but for something like Cathedral, obviously that's part of the effect of the song, creating a syncopated sort of rhythm. But for ambiance, it's sort of like putting a reverb pedal on when you're playing a giant friggin' auditorium. It's like, what is the point? I don't know. But it can shorter slaps now can thicken things up nicely and create a nice chorusy kind of effect. So that could be part of it. That the delay times were not set very long, and they were more set for giving sort of this chorusy kind of effect. So in parallel, if they were in parallel, that leads me to believe that there was a 3-amp rig, so to speak. The center rig, dry cab, and then the two wets. So for this, I'm just going off of the theory that there is, oh, I screwed up. That's the good thing about this. See, now I didn't have to, I forgot that we got the echo rec. So I'm going to undo this. See, talking and doing stuff is not my speciality. So move this out of the way. Now this has got to go over more then. Leave enough room for the cable to sneak in there. Get this pretty darn close like that. And the echo rec is supposed to go here. Like so. Should I put it like that? A little offset to the other thing. All right, where were we talking about again? Oh yeah, so I'm going off of that. The echoes were in series. May have been used for different delay times, or may have been used for fattening and the delay. So one set at a very short slap, and the other one set at a sort of longer delay time, which would be used on most everything, like Ain't Talking About Love or Eruption, to create that, doubling effect. There we go. So that's what we're going to try first. But if we needed to, I think that it would be very easy to modify this particular exact setup to do the wet, dry rig, being that we could just, let me vacuum this real quick, being that we could just basically split the signal after here 2 ways, going into each one of these Echoplex pedals in parallel and then out to amplifiers, or going out to different box units, which is sort of where we're at. Should I line that up with that, or line that up with that? I kind of like it stepped a little bit, so maybe we'll go like that, so it's a little staircase. So where was this one? Go here. And obviously I'm going to have to, lift up and end when I'm wiring, when I'm putting in the audio plugs, but that's fine. I just need to get everything where I need it. And it's sort of like, building a building anything, you kind of got to move this to move that. But in the end, it all works out nicely. There we go. Straighten that out. I think that may be too close even for the Three Monkeys stuff. You usually need to have about 1 inch between the two, maybe right around there. So this one could go, let's see, let's put in some of the plugs in this thing and see how it goes. So, well, we can put this one down a little bit. Yeah, I think right like that's good. So we're going to be using 2 aux boxes to get this thing together, which is going to be kind of interesting to see how all that works out. There's also now the aux stomp, which I'm interested in checking out versus the aux amp top box, because now I'm working with line level signals already, so I don't really need the attenuator part of the aux. I mean, it's a cool feature of the unit itself, but I don't need it anymore really. I'm basically using the line ins that I installed on the aux. So if the stomp has the same quality of sound as the full-on aux top box, I may just go with those for now on. You know, I mean, in the end, I don't, the load in the aux is pretty good. I like some variation in that too. A lot of times when I use my own load box and then go into the line in, if I'm using an amplifier going directly out of the speaker out and just load it down with my own load box, I kind of like that sound a little bit better. Or it's different. I shouldn't say better. It's just a different kind of tone. So the loads do matter. You know, what's the reflected impedance back to the transformer? How does that then load the tubes, power tubes? All of that is to be taken into account. So changing that particular relationship can yield different sounds. And that's sort of where I'm at with the whole theories behind what Ed's amp was actually running like. I think was mostly due to how he set the thing up, and how his load was contributing to the amplifier's performance. Last screw. And then we can start with the wiring. There we go. There we go. Okay. So now it comes time to start the wiring the box. So what I've got is a little piece of wood and then a box cutter with a good blade in it. I've got my plugs. I need to grab a little bit more cable. Bear with me. Thought I had it here, but apparently I did not. All right, so I'm going to use black cable for this board. So here we go. We got the Three Monkeys black cable. And the way you set up, the way you make a cable is you cut it with the box cutter like a guillotine. And then you thread them on. and you go. So I'm going to start with the power supply and put that down first. So we'll do the Echoplexes, which are 9 volts. So I'm going to just do like that, just chop it straight down. Take my plug, just twist it on, and when it bottoms out and you feel it snug, you're ready. So then I'm going to go into that plug there. I'm going to fold it down, and I'm going to bring it over to this area. So right about there is where I want to cut it at my thumb. So I'll put this back on the board, put this here, and chop. Attach another plug to the other end. And then I just kind of test as I go along to make sure that the cable is correctly assembled. So I'm just going to put it into the Echo unit. There we go. Fold it down how I want it, like that. There we go. Nice and neat. Now I'm going to grab my power cable and we're going to power up this box and make sure that it is working. There we go. So that cable's fine. So we can move on. So I'm going to put this aside, my power cable, and just leave it here so I could just plug it in as I need to test. All right, so let's do the next Echo pedal. So I'm going from the end that I just cut clean. I'm going to screw on another one of these little babies here. Once it bottoms out, I'm going to put it in to the unit, bend it down, and I'm going to probably run it somewhere like here, I think, for when it takes a turn. So like that. And then I'm going to fold down this way and then go up. So it's going to be like right around here. So let me get out my board again. Put this down, get out the box cutter. Just press down on it with your thumb like you're chopping off the king's head with the guillotine. You know, we're cutting a cigar or something like that. Put this over here. And I'm going to plug this into the delay unit again. Fold it down. Fold it down. Get it kind of where I want it. There we go. That looks pretty good like that. I mean, if you're sort of like want to spend a lot of time or a little more time than I'm spending, you can make these things. I mean, there's some pictures that we've got on our Instagram page of guys that are really like pretty meticulous in the way that they route their wires with our stuff, and it looks just pretty incredible. But this is an Eddie board, so it's not supposed to be that way. Okay, so we got both of these working. All right, let's continue on. I'm going to do the phase 90, which is also 9 volts. Grab one of my ends here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's about 8, looks like. Plug it into, make sure that's 9 volts. It is. Go down. I think right to about here. All right, we're going to run it alongside of that. Like there. Come up. So right around here is where I want to cut it. Grab my end. I think this is going to be really an interesting thing. An interesting thing. And we might have to, we're also going to incorporate this, I think, into the slaving idea. So we may have to build another slave 100-watt head. So we're going to use the 70s Marshall up in the submarine studio as one of the slaves. I also have some interesting theories regarding a modification possible to the slaved head. to create a sound. Now, I don't know if this cable is good or not plugging into that because it doesn't have a LED. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug it into the little number 1 box here and see if it lights up. It does. Alright, so that cable is good. So now we can put it back into here, fold it down, get it into place. And I'm going to be using these little guys here to kind of keep everything nice and secure. So I'll take like all of these here and sort of, this will be the first place where they're screwed down, would be like here and then here, right? So let's continue on, get the wax out of the way. All right, so now we got to do this, and this is 9 volts, but it's just a really an illumination box with a passive loop in it, like Ed's number 1, but except Ed's didn't have an illumination feature. So go into here and fold it down, bring it out to the rest of these guys, move it over, down, down, up. So right around here is where I want to cut it. Box cutter, chop. Grab another end. Now you can see if you were soldering, you'd be here still. You'd be on the first cable probably. You might even have a burned finger, which you deserve for not using solderless. Fold that down, get them together. So this one should be on the outside of that one. There we go. All right, so now the Echo Rec can run off of either 9 or 18. I think we'll run it off of 18. We have 2 18 ports. One will be for these two, because I have a little accessory port. So we're going to go to a 90 here. So let's do that one next. So this is a 4 to 9. Interesting. Interesting. Maybe we should run the phaser on that. I don't know. We could even run the EQ to simulate a dead battery. That could be interesting. You know what? We're going to do that. So let me find the phaser, which is right here. Okay. And we're going to run that to this one. And we'll leave it with enough slack so that if we want to, we can put it in the, there we go. We can put it in the straight 9, or do we even need to do that? No, I don't think we need to do that, because it will just be straight up. So let me grab how do you adjust this? I'm guessing with a screwdriver of some sort. I can't really see. It's in the shadow. Let me grab a flashlight. Oh yeah, it does have a little, it's a micro driver. Small screwdriver kind of deal. Let me grab my level screwdriver, and I'm going to crank this up to 9. Okay, it's up to 9. That's kind of cool. All right, so now we can bring that 9 over to the next 9 over to here. All right, so let me put these together again into our harness. We could just put that there. Okay. Now we're doing another 9 volt, which we had done one tip on already. 9 to 12 volt, 100 milliamps. Make sure that this is set on correctly. They're all on 9 volts. Okay. They have little dip switches right here, which allow you to change the voltage out to 12 on some of these as well. So I'm going to bring that across to here. So that's about as long as I want it. Get out my board. This one right here is for the 6-band. Be interesting to see what the 6-band does on a dead battery setting as well. Now that does not have a port to test the, or LED to test the cable, so I'm going to test it on the Echo Rec here. Make sure it's working good. Okay. Okay, the cable's good. So now I'll bring it over to the phaser. I think we're going to have to lift that side up on the phase to get in there. And we'll just fold that down. There we go. We'll reserve the screw there. Fileta, as they say. Having a little bit of seltzer while we're talking. If you hear me guzzling something, it's not beer. All right, now we're going to bring the Echo Rec 18 volts from our supply. So I think we'll like the, that's the wrong end. Always make sure you got a nice parallel clean end to work with. There we go. So we're going to go to the first of the 18s. And this just comes down and over to here. So we want it about this long. You know, I don't even know if it's going to matter with the Echo Rec. I haven't looked at the, I don't know the schematic, whether it even takes advantage of the 18. A lot of pedals, I mean, you could just put in a, you know, a clamp or a voltage regulator, so whatever you feed it with, no matter how dumb you are, you can kind of get away with having done whatever power you want to it, and it'll work. So there we go. I'm going to bring this one over to the phaser and flanger. So let's test that. Yep, that's working good. Okay, so now we're going to bring 18 volts over to our, we're going to call this the flanger buddy. So maybe I'll make a little label for it. It does everything you want for the flanger. So it has a momentary switch, has a little buffer in there. It has a loop to put the flanger in. It has a courtesy DC outlet. And it has a parallel output from the buffer. So I can run the dry rig from right here prior to going in through all the effects. So it's a little interesting. See how it all works out. So we'll bring this down to here. That like that. So all of these should go together. Let me just grab this. We're going to screw this guy home. See how that works out. There we go. So that can kind of trap our wires. Keep them nice and neat. We can put this one here. Put another wire trap here. This will just help too with, you know, keeping everything from getting vibrated all over the place. All right, let me get my drill. Yeah, so right about there. Vacuum. Should be another lathe screw. I do not have another lathe screw here. I'm gonna have to get some more lathe screws from the screw box. All right, put that in the skin box. Let's put that over here. So this is going to go about like that. So we need to cut this guy right about there. Give us an end. Okay. Now this doesn't have a LED on it. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. So we're going to test this cable in the Echo Rec again. Good cable. So we're going to bring that over. We should probably put an LED in this thing. I mean, there's plenty of room in there. Just so we know that it is functional before we don't play a gig. I'm going to bend that under like so. That looks good. All right, then we're going to need one more cable. Did I miscount? You need one more of the cables. And this one will go from here. And it will run up to here. So right about there is where I want to cut it. Alright, so we should probably test this one on the Echo Rec again. So we'll pull out this one for a quick second, and then we'll just test the Echo Rec. I did not tighten it enough. Aha! Did not make a good connection that time. There we go. Okay. Now, I think that was a place to put it right there. Okay, so we're good to go. Good to go there. For this one, it appears the Echo Rec has a port that is recessed inside of the unit itself. So there's no danger with the connection, but when I've got something where the plug body, or plug body, which is metal, is going inside of the unit, with your kit you're going to get this stuff here, which is the Three Monkeys heat shrink. So you just kind of put it over the unit and let it kind of sit over the edge a little bit, and then hit it with your heat gun or your hair dryer. And then you have a insulated plug, if you like insulated. So I'm gonna just figure that was a good thing to show you guys too. So now you put that in there, and now you have an insulated plug. And it's got the cool number 3 monkeys on there, so you know who done made it. All right, so we got that going. We got all these things going. This is looking good. Okay. I'm gonna grab some zip ties. These little zip ties, I think. And do a little neatening. We're at about 40 minutes right now. So we think we got time to do the whole board. We're pretty much in the home stretch of the whole thing. Just put everything together. Here we go. Get this out of there. And we'll hook them down with the cable tie as well as the bundle tie with the hole for screwing it into place. So that looks pretty good like that. There we go. And we'll put one here. All right, and this just helps add stability to the whole system. I mean, this isn't entirely necessary, but it looks good as well. And we'll cut off our little ties, like so. Maybe we'll put one more cable tie over here, kind of secure these three together, or so. Get them nice and neat. There we go. Tuck that back down again. There, that looks good. And maybe one more down here, one or two more. One all the way down at the end. Like so. Put this one there. Make sure that's gone under. Okay. I'd like to come up with a better way of attaching the pedals to boards. I always thought there should be like a universal attachment on the bottoms of these pedals that would allow for a mating with a universal attachment on the pedal board instead of relying on, you know, the Velcro thing, which I'm not a huge fan of, obviously. All right, so we got all that done, which is cool. So now the next thing to do, for my next trick, I'm going to move them over there. We're going to do the wiring for the audio signal. So I have our audio plugs over here. So let me just clean up a little bit. Got some capacitor there for some reason. Got some of that stuff. All right. Give it a quick vacuum. All right, everything's well in place. So now let us begin with wiring in the audio. So for that, we're going to need, let's say, about that much. So I'm going to cut it. Where's my board? Here it is. So I'm going to cut this right there. And then I'm going to cut another one the exact same length. Now I'm going to make a couple of cables to go from our flange buddy. And for this, I'm going to use my multimeter to test the cables as I make them. So I'll put this aside. So let me get my meter. I'm going to put the meter, let's see, where should we put it? Put it right there. We just need to hear it beep. Okay, so it's on the continuity, which means when the two probes are touching, it means you have a signal continuity. So what you don't want is continuity between tip and ground, right, on either side. And you do want ground to ground. So we don't have that here. We do have tip to tip. So let me tighten this side down. Oh yeah, this, I didn't finish tightening. Okay. See what the hell is going on. Just try might have been something foreign in there. Okay. let's just keep going. Oh, never mind. I grabbed you're not going to believe it. Grabbed a piece of just normal wire. Okay, I'm ready for bed now. All right, back to get that out of the way. Back to our regular. See, it's supposed to say 3 monkeys on it. Yeah, you can't use normal wire, just regular old wire with these things. You got to use the 3 monkeys wire. So, apologies. Let us continue. Oh yeah, we needed to measure. So we were going to do something about that long. We're going to use 2 lengths of that. Okay, that's 1 length. Put this here so I don't mistake it. Oh yeah. All right. Test the cable. Right, so once again, you don't want continuity here, right? You want continuity here, and you want continuity here. So this cable's good, so we're going to use that one here. And you can see it's got these little U channels that you can bend the cable into, so sort of like that. And then you can put them in like that. There we go. Now where'd I put the other piece? Is this, let me read this. 3 monkeys made in USA. All right, that's it. Test. No continuity, good continuity, good continuity. All right, so this one's good. So we need to bend that down. Okay, and then we got to bend this one into there. And then, there we go. Then we can turn it down. There we go. So now the phaser flanger is rather hooked up. Okay, so let's make, where's the next run? It's from here to there. So pull this off. Use the fresh end of the cut. Bend it down. We're going to put it in here. And then we're going to run it. Well, we can run it like that. And up to here would be like about like that. So we're going to cut it there. You have to get a little more wire. Okay. Grab another end. Screw it on. Now let's test the continuity. Good. Good. So this one, let's say we go under it and then plug it into there, and then this one, bend it into the U channel. I wonder if we can sneak it in there. No, we are not sneaking that in there. So let's see, let's lift up that end. Where's my screwdriver? at the end, plug it in, turn it down, and we can get our screw back in there. Okay, let me grab, we got to go from here to here. This is enough to do that, so I don't have to grab in some more cable just yet. Oh, there's the other piece I had. All right, is it camouflaged? All right, so there's one end. Turn that down. That should go about this far right here. Pick that up. Trim it off. All right, so this is going to go in here, the output of the 6-band, screw it into there, turn that way, lift that up, and plug this guy into the number 1 box. There we go. Move this over here. Oh wait, did we test it? We did not. Lift that up. Okay. Give it our quick test. Good. Good. All right, so how did I have that set up? Was it this way? No, it was this way. I think so. So this in here. See, the cables also, which is really kind of a cool part of it, is formable. It kind of has a little bit of memory to it, so when you bend it, it kind of stays where you put it at. It's magic. All right, I think we can screw down the, yeah. All right. There we go. Next, we're going to go, let's see. Go to the lower port on this one here. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. All right, so now we got to go into the echo rec. So grab a little more cable. I'm just reusing some cable that I have in my cable pile. Must have gotten somehow some other cables mixed up in there too. Okay, fold that down into the U channel. All right, let's lift up one end of the rec. If the echo rec turns out to be a good idea as a replacement for the Univox, maybe I'll figure out a way to hack in an expression pedal so I can use a foot pedal to increase and decrease the speed. So somewhere around there is good. See, the other thing with the Velcro is you can't do this easy with Velcro. That stuff is stuck when it's down, if you do it right, which I never do. All right, so we got this going to there, and we'll bend this one in here. Test the cable. Cable test. Good. Good. Cable test worked out good. So we're going to put that one down. That goes into here. And we got to lift up this guy too. There we go. Fold that down. Probably would have been smarter to lift this one up, as we could have eliminated one step. Whatever. That's all good. Get some more cable. This will be for the Echo Rec return into our #1 loop. Fold it under. I want it to go under that. So there we go. And then it should come across and down and up. So right about there is where I want to cut it. Grab an end, screw it on. Give the cable the test. Good. 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 So go under, in, go down, go across, and in. All right, so there we have those. All right, so now we can screw the Echo Rec back down. That's good. Nearing the home stretch. Okay, that's supposed to go there. So the output now. So we're going to lift up this end as well. We're going to have to make a very short cable, which is no problem. So grab a little bit of my cabling. Okay. I'm just going to trim this again. I can't remember if I cut this one already or not, but we'll just do it again. Cut off a little bit. Screw the cable on. And then we're going to need to cut it somewhere like around there. There we go. Now we can, let's see, bend this one in here, bend that one in there. See, we got a nice little right angle guy. Now let's give it a test. Good. Good. All right, so this guy's working. Here is the board. I got it plugged into the little amp down here. So just to give it a test. So let's start with its passing signal. Hit the flanger. Okay. 6 band. Working. Phaser. Working. Echo. Echo. Both. Echo rec. Success. All right, see you next time.